Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're embarking on a really fascinating journey
We are indeed.
into a text that's widely described as, well, the most read, most memorized, and most recited book in the world.
That's the one. We're talking about the Quran.
Exactly. And our deep dive today is built around these excerpts from the Quran, journey through divine revelation.
Right.
Our mission really is to pull out the most important nuggets, give you those aha moments without getting bogged down.
And interestingly, the source material itself kicks off with a traditional Arabic greeting. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu.
Ah.
It sort of sets the tone, doesn't it? Peace and blessing. It invites you into this space of reflection.
That feels like a perfect way to start.
Yeah.
So our goal for you today is, well, to give you a clearer path to understanding the core of the Quran.
Offering insights, maybe some surprises, and importantly, practical takeaways.
Things you can actually grasp. So let's jump right in. What is the Quran, fundamentally? Let's maybe start with the name itself. Al-Quran. In Arabic, you said it translates to the recitation.
That's right, the recitation.
Okay, let's unpack this. Why specifically the recitation? What's the weight behind that name?
Well, it's called that because it was revealed specifically to be spoken aloud, to be recited. It wasn't, like a book written down first and then read.
Right.
It came through Prophet Muhammad over 23 years.
Right.
And crucially, it's understood as direct speech from Allah, the creator of the universe, to his creation.
So not the prophet's own words or poetry.
Exactly. That's a fundamental distinction. It's seen as divine speech meant for vocalization.
That's a really key point, direct divine speech for recitation. And what about its structure? Our source mentions 114 chapters.
Yes, 114 chapters called surahs.
Surahs, and over 6,000 verses. Ayahs.
Over 6,000 ayahs, yes.
Yeah.
And the source describes each verse as powerful, layered, divine.
What does it mean for a verse to be layered? That sounds intriguing.
It's a great observation for the material. Layered implies that, each ayah, no matter how short or long, often holds multiple levels of meaning. Context, guidance, you name it.
So not just one single message.
Right. It could offer spiritual insight, a moral lesson, maybe a legal point, or a glimpse into some universal truth, all packed into often quite simple words.
Which allows it to resonate differently depending on who's reading and what they need.
Precisely. That depth is key to its enduring nature.
Okay, so we've got a handle on its identity. Let's move into its core messages. Fundamentally, what does the Quran teach us?
Well, right at the heart, a central theme woven through everything is the oneness of Allah, Tawheed.
Tawheed, okay.
This concept stresses there is absolutely no God but Allah. It's a clear rejection of idols or sons or partners, any kind of association.
And the source highlights specific attributes.
Yes, key attributes like Al-Khaliq, meaning the creator.
The creator.
Ar-Rahman, the most merciful. And Al-Hakim, the all-wise. These really underscore that concept of absolute oneness and perfection.
Now, the source also talks about stories. Lots of stories of prophets Adam, Ibrahim, that's Abraham, Musa, Moses, Isa, Jesus.
Yes, those figures are very prominent.
But it frames them not just as history, but as life lessons. What's the emphasis there? How do they function for the reader?
That's a really important insight from the source material. They aren't just chronicles of the past. They're presented as, spiritual blueprints.
Blueprints. How so?
The Quran often retells these familiar narratives, but frames them in a unique way to extract universal moral and spiritual guidance. They reveal insights into human nature, faith, trials, resilience, the consequences of choices.
So like the story of Yusuf Joseph, the source mentions that one.
Exactly. That's not just a biography. It's a profound story about patience, trust to God through hardship, perseverance, and ultimately forgiveness.
Even after immense betrayal.
Right. It offers a timeless lesson for, anyone navigating difficult times.
And another major theme seems to be life after death, the Akhirah.
Indeed. The Quran constantly reminds us that this life, it's temporary. It emphasizes the reality of the Akhirah, the hereafter. That includes heaven and hell.
And the idea that our actions matter.
Absolutely. The teaching is very clear. Every single action we do here is recorded. There's this strong sense of accountability for our deeds and choices.
How does it handle justice and mercy? Those can sometimes seem like their intention.
That's a good question. The Quran actually details the importance of upholding justice very meticulously, especially for the vulnerable orphans, the poor, the oppressed.
Right.
But at the same time, it places immense emphasis on mercy and forgiveness.
Even towards those who've wronged you.
Yes, even then. It's about striking this profound balance ensuring rights are upheld,
Yeah.
but always leaving room for reconciliation for grace.
Our material also touches on something deeply comforting. It quotes a verse, 17.82. And we send down of the Qur'an that which is a healing and a mercy to the believers. How does the source explain that healing aspect, this idea of it being a book for your soul?
What's really interesting there is how the Quran is described almost like a spiritual balm, a direct source of calm, of tranquility. The material calls it a book for your soul, something that can genuinely calm the heart, mend that inner turmoil.
So it speaks to anxiety, spiritual emptiness.
Precisely. It's presented as something that offers comfort, guidance, and deep peace when facing those very human struggles.
Oh, that's a really powerful idea. And it leads nicely into its, well, unique structure and style.
It does.
Our source points out something quite distinctive. Unlike most books we read, the Quran isn't chronological.
Not at all. That often surprises new readers.
It mentions a divine rhythm.
Yeah.
How it moves between topics, laws, then suddenly a story, then describing paradise, like poetry. What does that achieve?
Well, if you think about it, this nonlinear flow connects back to its claim of being inimitable, irreplicable. It doesn't follow a standard human narrative structure. Instead, it weaves themes, rulings, history, descriptions of the afterlife together.
Right.
This structure lets the text constantly reinforce central themes from different angles. It aids memorization, which is huge in the tradition, and deep reflection.
And that connects to the millions who've memorized it and the special recitation, Tawheed.
Exactly. Tawheed is that precise system of pronunciation and intonation, ensuring it's recited exactly as it was revealed, preserving its sound and meaning. That memorization tradition is partly facilitated by this unique structure.
That claim of being irreplicable is, well, it's bold.
It is.
And the source includes that specific challenge from Surah Al-Baqarah, verse 23, and if you are in doubt, then produce a chapter like it, if you are truthful.
A direct challenge, yes.
Our material calls it an invitation. Why is that claim so significant? What makes it supposedly so hard to imitate, even just one verse?
The significance lies in its perceived linguistic and structural miracle. Our source suggests its eloquence, the depth of meaning, that unique rhythm, its consistent message across all these diverse topics. While maintaining perfect internal consistency, these are elements human effort just hasn't replicated.
So it's not just about copying style.
No, it's about matching its whole package. The beauty, the foresight, the comprehensive guidance, that unique blend is seen as the divine signature.
Okay, so putting all this together, the message, the structure, the claims, why does the Quran still matter today in our, very modern, often chaotic world?
Well, in a world that our source describes as often filled with confusion, injustice, anxiety, maybe spiritual emptiness.
Which sounds pretty familiar.
Right. The Quran is presented as a light in the darkness. It offers clarity, guidance, answers to timeless human questions, regardless of the century.
And the source brings up this really interesting point about personal resonance.
Ah, yes, that's very important.
The idea that whatever you're going through, pain, depression, big life questions, there's always an ayah verse that will speak directly to your heart. It even asks, have you ever opened the Quran randomly and felt like the verse was meant just for you?
A common experience for many readers.
How does the source explain that feeling? Why does it feel so personal? It links it to divine speech.
Exactly. That feeling isn't seen as mere coincidence. It's considered central to its nature as divine speech.
Okay.
The idea is, because it's a direct message from the Creator to humanity, it inherently has this ability to connect with an individual's soul, their specific situation.
Like a personal message.
Almost, yes.
Yeah.
Like guidance or comfort tailored for you right when you need it.
For someone new, though, it might feel overwhelming. Where do you even start? Does the source give practical tips?
It does, yes. Very practical advice. It suggests beginning with Surah Al-Fatiha,
The opening chapter.
the very first one. It's short, a powerful prayer, and really captures the essence of the Quran's message.
Okay, Al-Fatiha. Anywhere else?
Other good starting points mentioned are Surah Maryam, the story of Mary and Jesus, which is beautifully told.
Right.
And Surah Yusuf, which it describes as one of the most beautiful cinematic stories of a prophet. Great narrative, deep lessons.
So it's not just a case of grabbing any translation and reading it cover to cover like a novel?
Not really, no. The source strongly emphasizes reading it with tafsir.
Tafsir. That's like
Wow.
commentary or explanation.
Exactly. It's crucial for understanding the context, the nuances of the original Arabic, which are often lost in translation,
Okay.
and really grasping the message behind the words. It lets you go deeper than just the surface meaning.
That makes sense. Getting the full picture.
Perhaps a final reflection on its nature, drawing from the source.
Mm.
It's presented not just as a book you put on a shelf. It's called a living miracle.
A living miracle.
An active source of guidance. And it has this incredible accessibility. It can speak meaningfully to, as the source puts it, a child and a scholar, a king and a beggar.
Wow. Universal.
Its purpose is summed up as guidance for those who seek truth and a mercy for the entire world. And that connects back to that verse from Surah Baqarah. This is the book about which there is no doubt a guidance for those conscious of Allah.
That really underscores its enduring significance. So, a final thought for you listening. If you have read the Quran recently, maybe make a little more time for it today.
Even just one verse, even 5 minutes can make a difference.
And if you're not Muslim, but this conversation has sparked your curiosity, well, maybe pick up a translation.
Read it for yourself, see what resonates, don't just take our word for it or anyone else's.
Because, as our source powerfully concludes, once you open your heart to the Quran, it opens itself to you.
A profound thought to end on.
Thank you for joining us on this deep dive. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Wa rahmatullah.